Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. My name is miahtheking, and I could tell you a funny joke about pizza, but it's a little cheesy. Now then, today we're taking a look at a game just released called Black Myth Wukong, and I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. An action RPG based on ancient Chinese mythology. Sounds interesting, right? I mean, I don't know about you all, but I don't know hardly anything about Chinese mythology, so the idea is incredibly interesting to me. Developed and published by a team called Game Science, which I heard online is an indie company based in China. So technically this is an indie game, so technically it's in my ballpark. Released not in early access and selling for $60. Hoo boy, that's a lot of money nowadays. So what is this game? Well, it's kind of hard to tell, really. Ever wanted to play Dark Souls or Elden Ring but thought that maybe it was a bit unfair how you lose everything when you die? Well, let's take that unfairness part out and you'll get this game. I know it's a gross understatement generalization of the game, but it's the best summing up explanation I can give. You play as Monkey Man and must kill other animal beings who walk on two legs, all to find 6 pieces of, I think, the Monkey King, and then summon him back to the Monkey Mountain. I think. Why do I keep saying I think? Well, we'll get into that later. But for now, let's move on to the good and the bad, shall we? So, up first is the good, and the first thing I just gotta talk about because I can't hold it in any longer is the graphics. I think this is probably the best looking game I've seen on my channel ever, and that's pathetic, but also cool. In terms of graphical quality, it is definitely up there with some of the best. I mean, the attention to detail here is freaking phenomenal. As you're watching me, you will see all that I see, so make sure that the resolution on the video you're watching right now is up to max, because this shit is intense, and you're gonna want to see it properly. The game looks amazing in every freaking way. The lighting is perfect, the color and contrasts are perfect, and the detail is perfect. Even the animations and the movements are perfect, so yeah, it looks damn good. Next up is the sound design. Now, I could sum up a lot of these positive points by just saying they're perfect, but I'm not going to do that to you because I think you're smarter than that. Let me explain how they're perfect. The only issue I have is the dubbing voice acting in English, but even then, that's not that bad. It's actually pretty decent, but it does feel a little bit off. I listened to it in Chinese as well, and it just sounds so much better. I think just, honestly, it's just a personal preference because both are good, but I think listening to it in its Chinese form is probably more satisfying, so that's what I would recommend. But besides that, the sound effects are just chilling and realistic and mythical and downright satisfying. As for the music, oh, it's just so good. Like, everything that I had to listen to was brilliant here. The next positive point that I'd like to talk about is the gameplay. The gameplay is definitely interesting. Remember how I said that this was a lot like Dark Souls or Elden Ring? It's actually probably closer to God of War or Jedi Fallen Order. It's Souls-like, but not Souls. Make sense? So it's how it sounds. You start off level 1 with nothing. Every enemy is tough and challenging, requiring different styles of play and combat. But the basic bitch enemies are fairly manageable and easy to get through. Sometimes, which means only the mini-bosses or the unique enemies will require some thorough thought and retries. The combat has combo moves, dodges with a unique dodging mechanic that reminds me of old Assassin's Creed games where if you dodge at just the right time, things slow down just a bit. You can mix and match heavy and light attacks into combos, unlock new moves as you level up, and no, you don't lose your experience or your progress when you die, but enemies will respawn. You have those little shrines everywhere that you can rest at, which resets enemies, refills your healing thing, you know, just like all those games. You can get magical spells that you can utilize to help you fight enemies, and you can even gain transformations that allow you to change into previous enemies that you've defeated and use their skills and weapons and fighting styles to help you gain an advantage. There's an inventory screen and the skill tree screens and all the other screens you'll get to see and explore. No dialogue options, no choices, nothing like that, just run and fight, and I gotta say, this was probably the most epic opening to a game I've seen in a very, very long time. This is how I entered the game. And because of this, I was just instantly blown away. Like, this is how it starts. And then this is where it is, or where you end up, and it's like, and this is just the opener to the game. Like, it was crazy. I was super impressed. I was very invested. I was having so much fun. The next positive point that I'd like to talk about is the stability in user interface. So the UI is actually a lot simpler than I expected it to be. I thought it'd be a lot more clumsy and confusing or hard to navigate, but it really wasn't. Everything was fairly easy to find and navigate through or to understand, which made the gameplay and the controls a lot easier to adapt to. I will say, however, that they recommend immediately upon entering game to use a controller for a better experience. I did not have one available, so I was stuck with PC controls, but I'm going to be honest, I wasn't experiencing that much negatively with the PC controls. The camera control was a little awkward, sure, but everything else felt fine and fluid. As for the stability, well, for me it was mostly fine. It had a bit of clipping here and there, along with frame rate dropping, which you might see here in the video, but I read online that a lot of people out there are having some serious issues with the game stability, so keep that in mind progressing forward as you think about whether you want to purchase this or not. It might just be a personal PC problem, however, so make sure you've got a really good PC for this game. It requires some serious specs. Even my Epic PC was having issues at times and was definitely heating up beyond comfortable levels. And last but not least is the originality and the uniqueness of the game itself. A game focusing on Chinese mythology, something we rarely see. It's incredibly interesting to see things from this point of view. It was fascinating watching this and playing it. The experience was so new and so different from anything else that I've played recently or in a long time, simply because of based on what it's based on and where it comes from. It was just a nice breath of fresh air in an otherwise rather stale state of affairs in gaming right now. Man, there were some tongue twisters in that one. I apologize for the stuttering and the mumbling. Alright, so that's all I got to say positively about the game. Now I got to go into the negatives. But before that, do me a big favor and help the growth of my channel. It takes you no time at all and costs you no money, but it helps me out a lot. So, if you found this video entertaining or at least informative, then please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving me a comment. Thank you very much. Now then, on to the negatives. Dun, da, da. The first negative point I have is that the game lacks direction, like a lot of direction. I had absolutely no idea where I was going or what I was doing or why I was doing it or who I was. I didn't know, and I still don't know. I'm a monkey man, going through a forest, killing wolfmen, and a giant statue of something that I don't understand or can comprehend. I don't know, and it's not just plot-wise, I mean direction, literally. I've been roaming around this damn forest forever and have no idea where to go or what to do. There's no map, there's no directional aura or pathway or sign or anything to tell me where to go. Follow the fires? I did that. It led me to a mini-boss who was fun, and I beat him, but it was a dead end. So I went to another direction and found another mini-boss who I'm not sure I was supposed to fight yet, because he dealt so much damage with one of his simple moves that it almost killed me. That's just impossible. Yes, it was the same giant thing I didn't understand or comprehend from before. And I still have no idea where I'm supposed to go, which to me feels like a pretty large oversight by the development team to put you in an unknown forest, in an unknown mountain, and expect you to... what? Just travel around killing mini-bosses? Sometimes you'll get a cutscene making you think you're going the right way, but then it ends in a dead end and you have to turn around. So, yeah, I have no idea where I'm going, or what I'm doing, or why, or anything. And as I was saying, it goes on into the plot as well. I mean, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I am. I don't know what my motivation is. I don't know what my voice sounds like. Do I have a voice? I don't know if I have a personality. I don't know anything about my character or why he's doing what he's doing. I have no clue why I'm doing anything. Something vague about being the chosen one is thrown in there, so that's all you get. So yeah, overall, in terms of direction in the gameplay of what you're doing, where you're going, and in the story, it's directionless, and I hate that in games. I hate being lost. Next up for the negatives is the loading screens. Look at this! Hell, just waiting in general. I waited for the game to install. It took over an hour and a half to install. And there are some games out there, like I have not had a game take that long to install since back, 12, 15, 16 years ago, World of Warcraft. I'm recording this at 2 in the morning when I'm supposed to be in bed with my beautiful wife. But if that wasn't bad enough, after it was done installing, a second installer came up and took another 10 minutes. Like, what? Then I got into the game and I was like, oh, finally, I'm going to get to play the game after I've been waiting almost 3 hours. And I was greeted with this loading screen. Look, it's still going. This loading screen took 20 more freaking minutes. So I waited almost 3 hours after the game released just to finally get into it. Now, I will say, after that initial loading time, I was able to jump right back into the game in less than 5 minutes. Like, I fully exited and came back in, and I had to go through the loading screen again, but this time it only took like 5 minutes. But still, that was not a great start to the game. Also, they're everywhere, and each one takes a pretty decent amount of time and can get really frustrating at first. My suggestion would be to just be patient, because it's loading a lot of stuff. But still, it can be a bit annoying, so I wanted to mention it. The next negative I have that I'd like to talk about is the tutorial. It's pretty awful and non-existent, and that's a pet peeve of mine. It kind of pops in now and then, gives you some vague information about terms you know nothing about or objects and skills you know nothing about, and then disappears. Sometimes it taught me what I needed to know, and I was grateful. very grateful because it was so rare. Other times I was floundering around and wondering. For instance, you get this currency. Well, you get a lot of different currencies, but you get this one specific currency called, I think it's called Will, when you kill enemies or do other things. But I don't know what it is, or what it's for, or if you lose it when you die, or pretty much anything about it, really. It's not experience points for a level. It's not perk points. It's not currency for buying things in the story. So what is it? What's it for? What do I do with it? And do I lose it when I die? Should I care since it's not used for leveling or buying things? This is how lacking in teaching the game is, and that was just one example. But that's all I can really call out negatively that I witnessed with the game, though I'm sure there could probably be others. These are just what I found and what I thought were either bad enough or annoying enough to talk about. So what's my final thoughts? Well, it's difficult. I went to the store page to kind of read what other people were saying about the game and hear their thoughts and gain some perspective from other people, you know? And what I noticed is that everyone giving the game a thumbs up wasn't really talking about the game specifically. They were just very long but very generic things like the game is great, or the game looks amazing, or it plays really well on my super high-end PC. But no one was really actually talking about the game or the specifics. Even the negative reviews were mostly complaining about stability issues and graphics and stuff. And I was just wondering why no one is actually talking about the game itself. Like, you don't learn anything by reading those reviews. So I'm kind of hoping that I can do that here. But here's the gist. The game is kind of Souls-like, even though it doesn't say it on the Steam store page. I went into it not expecting that because it wasn't labeled as such, but it is. It's Souls-like. Not as harsh or unforgiving as Elden Ring or Dark Souls, but plays in a very, very similar fashion. So if you like games like that, then this game is perfect. Every aspect of this game was amazing. The entire thing is very well developed and put together. There's amazing graphics, sound design, a creative and unique idea, intuitive, fluid, and engaging addictive combat gameplay, and all that. Decent voice acting, fairly stable on good PCs, and fluid in the actual sitting down and playing it. You know, like when you sit down to play a game and it just feels good? Yeah, that's here. I know that $60 is a lot of money. However, for a game of this quality, I think it actually deserves its price tag. And I don't say that often. So let me sum up. If you like games like God of War or Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order or Elden Ring or Dark Souls, then you're going to love this game. And you're not getting ripped off either. The game is damn good, and it's worth every penny. But if you're like me, and you were going in thinking it'd be more RPG, like say Dragon Age or The Witcher, then you're going to be disappointed. It's a hard game, but it's an amazing game with a huge production quality behind it. I am still amazed at that opener to the game. I mean, damn, what a way to start a game. So intense and thematic and epic, and I'm going to be thinking about that forever. I give this game a glowing review, worth every damn penny and worth every damn second. So if you like these kinds of challenging games, it's worth it, and I'd recommend you give it a shot. Alright, so that's all the time I got for this video, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, with a special thanks to those of you who stuck around to the end. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.